The crew has finally departed Wano. We are leaving Wano, moving on to the next and final saga of One Piece. And we start at Egghead Island with Dr. Vegapunk. As cool as all of that stuff is, I want to take a second to talk about the nukes that are still left in Wano, and that is Big Mom and Kaido. So the thing is, they are defeated and they're chilling at the bottom of a magma pool, but I think they're going to come back. Like, they're two of the strongest people in the verse, and it would make no sense if they didn't even come back, especially if the Navy isn't apprehending them because they haven't even got to Wano. Or when they did get to Wano, they got drove out. So I don't think there's any Marines coming to pick up Kaido and Big Mom, so what are they going to do? Just get better. And I, for one, am not too satisfied if this is their conclusion for the story, because they didn't really get beat. Kaido fought like everybody, got hurt, still fought for like, I don't know how many hours. It was very impressive, but he lost to Luffy after killing Luffy. Not one time he killed Luffy, and he beat Luffy 2 other times. And Luffy got his awakening, which is great, and that's how he finally won, but it wasn't a true 1v1. And then with Big Mom, it was the same thing, where she got 2v1'd. Actually, well, she fought all the generation real quick, all the worst generation, and then she got 2v1 at the end. And when she was even about to lose, she wasn't really, because she was using her soul dance, but Law has the most broken fruit in the verse and was able to stop it and make Big Mom not be able to use her devil fruit. And Big Mom also kind of shot herself in the foot when she was going down Onigashima and she hit the bombs that were frozen. And that kind of also KO'd her. So it wasn't really a true like defeat in the sense of 1v1, the emperors have fallen. It was the circumstances around their fight led to their defeat. I mean, I think Law and Kid put in a lot of work. They did a lot of great stuff to defeat Big Mom. It wasn't like that true end victory. And when Kaido and Big Mom were teaming up this arc, I was kind of disappointed just because me personally, whenever we found out about Yonko and the 4 strongest, I really wanted an arc dedicated to taking down each one of them individually and seeing the progression of the fight and how they would do it. But it was just it felt a little rushed. It definitely did feel a little rushed to see 2 of the strongest people of the verse who have been hyped up for so many years get taken down within one arc, right? And the fights themselves weren't even that long. And I get it. It's because Oda is like, he's been working for so long. He wants to wrap this shit up. He's trying to finish this as soon as possible. But I want more. I want more from this fight, and I want more from these 2 as emperors. Like, and especially Big Mom. When she was going down, she was like, do not think this is over. You have not defeated me. I'm coming back. And I really hope they're coming back. And Kaido it was a decisive loss, but he beat Luffy 3 times before that. So at the end of the day, I just felt this battle was a little underwhelming, especially with the circumstances. It wasn't a true 1v1 complete defeat, because with most arcs in One Piece, we have, the Straw Hats actually taking them down 1v1, making sure that they are defeated and they're out of commission. But with this, it was a lot of teamwork, which is great. I love seeing that. Don't get me wrong. I love that. I think the fights are really good, but I really want that actual decisive victory. You can argue that Kaido's loss was a decisive, and fair enough, it was at the end of the day, it was a 1v1. And I'm okay if maybe Kaido doesn't come back or doesn't have his final fight, but Big Mom for sure needs some redemption, because she was like, yo, you kids, you don't know what you're getting into. I'm coming back. This is not my defeat. And to be honest, I want to see Big Mom come back. And I would love to see Kaido come back too and like actually have a real 1v1, no one interrupt against Luffy, and Luffy finally puts him down, something like that. And I think the reason why I was a little upset was because with most characters, when they are losing, we have like some backstory about them, something significant backstory that shows, like where they came from, other information we did not know about him, and then it leads to like their ultimate defeat, right? Kaido's backstory when he got punched by Luffy was very like underwhelming. I just didn't really feel too much from it. And these are 2 characters that I feel have so much more potential for the story. And I feel like this is what's going to happen at the end, and I would probably not like it, because we all know the final war is against Emu, right? It's against Emu and the world government. That's the final war. And the way I see these 2 coming back into the story is if Kaido and Big Mom show up at Marijoa, right? And they're like, hey, Luffy, we don't fucking like you, but we want to take down the government. We'll stall, like, I guess, some big opposition that the Marines have. Maybe an admiral or two that the Yonko will be able to stall while Luffy goes and fights Emu. I don't really like that. I just don't like it personally in the sense of I feel like there's so much more for these characters. And I know that Oda's getting older and, he's been doing this for way too long, so he just wants to wrap things up. But I would love, a final fight. And if we don't get a final fight, I think if Emu is just so strong that Luffy needs help and we get like an all-star roster going up against Emu, Kaido, Big Mom, Shanks, Luffy, the worst generations, maybe Mihawk, maybe Boa, like if we get like an all-star tag team like this going up against Emu, then I think I would be okay, just because that would be so hyped to see all these characters and the strongest people in the verse going after one dude. But personally, I would like one final fight between the strongest, like the Yonkos, to put them down for good. And what I'm thinking is, in One Piece Stampede in that movie, when they just had that huge fight on that island where everyone just starts going at each other, I want that for Raftel, like where Kaido, Big Mom shows up, Shanks is there, Blackbeard is there, and they all do one final huge fight where people just start taking each other out, and then whoever's left standing gets the One Piece. That's my ideal perfect world. And besides that, it just feels like there's so much character. I feel like Kaido and Big Mom are written so well that their ending, if this is the end, is just kind of untimely and undeserving. And when you try to think of where else they can fit in the story, the only thing that you can see is the final war where they side with Luffy. And I just don't want that, because especially Kaido and Big Mom having so much pride as they do, siding with Luffy just goes really against all their character. So I just don't want that, but at the same time, if it happens, it does make sense because they do hate the government, and if they think Luffy's the best shot of beating it, maybe, but it just seems like these two prideful characters that are aiming for Pirate King themselves wouldn't side with Luffy. So trying to figure out where they would insert themselves in the story is pretty difficult, but I want so much more, watching this and going through Wano, and Wano was so long, reading it and everything like that, and just seeing how the fights were just not, the fights were good, but it just went by so fast, and there were so many factors where they weren't defeated. Like with most One Piece villains, when they're taken out, I'm satisfied. I don't think there's anything left in the tank. But with Big Mom and Kaido, I feel like there's so much more that they have. Like Kaido to even have an awakening. And I don't even think we saw Big Mom's awakening. I think she was using her own soul, but she couldn't use her power to her full ability because Law made the silent room. But when it comes to Devil Fruit Awakenings and then other hidden abilities, we didn't get to see any of that from Big Mom and or Kaido. So it puts a sour taste in my mouth when I feel like they weren't at full strength when they were fighting, or they didn't use their full ability and they lost. And I just don't want them to have a loss like that. I want a rematch so bad. And picture this, Raftel, everyone, just the worst generation, the Yonko, find the last road poneglyph and are able to make it to Raftel. And at Raftel, we just have a whole fight. And the thing is, it doesn't even have to be Luffy that defeats the emperors. I'd be so cool if Sanji and Zoro teamed up to take up like Kaido, or teamed up to take on Big Mom, and just have more of a drawn out fight, and then also showing their awakenings, and then finally getting put down. Because when they got put down in Wano, it just seemed like, they're going to come back. It's not the end of it, right? So I want more of a decisive actual win. And also I want to see everyone's ability to their full potential, especially with Big Mom's awakening and Kaido's awakening when you get to see that. And the thing is, I feel like it's deserved, especially with Luffy, because, Luffy beat Kaido one time. Kaido beat him 3 times. So for Luffy to just take one W and walk away, I just don't think that's like a good final result for the fight, especially if Kaido already beat him 3 times and Luffy got 1. At least there's got to be one more where Luffy takes a W. And, for the final fight, if it's not Luffy fighting Kaido and Big Mom, I was saying you can do another team up, but with more of a decisive win, or just, Law and Kaido, and then, Big Mom and Kid. 1v1s would be really great to see, but I just think there's so much more from these characters that we just didn't get. And trying to figure out where Big Mom and Kaido can fit into the story in the end game, it's up to Oda's discretion. There is a lot of different areas he can put him in. He could also come back, like Kaido could come to Egghead Island, Big Mom could come to one of the islands before the final fight and then get, put down for good. And also, the biggest thing is they just left them in Wano, in that volcano, unchecked. It would make no sense if we don't hear from them for the rest of the story and they're just like, oh yeah, they're just chilling in the volcano, they're so hurt, they haven't been able to recover. Kaido's a dragon, and Big Mom has recovering ability that's insane because she can use her own lifespan. And just leaving them in Wano, I feel like it's super dangerous for Momonosuke to be there by himself with 2 emperors in his land, in his homeland. So they have to come back. And if they come back for, 1v1s or for at the end of the next 2 arcs, that I think that would be great if Oda doesn't want to put Kaido and Big Mom at the final Raftel Island. But just for emperors and the title it holds, for them to lose this easy, well, it wasn't an easy loss, but for them to be out of the story this early before we're even in the final endgame just kind of doesn't really do justice to the title Yonko. Because I feel like they have to come back and do something at the end of the story. If Oda really doesn't put them in, it would make no sense for the story, especially with how carefully he's written it and with these 2 gargantuan characters, because they are top 5 strongest in the verse, hands down. And for them to be left in Wano unchecked just doesn't make any sense. So I just want to know what you guys think about it. Were you guys happy with how Big Mom and Kaido were taken out? And what do you think would be the best place to reinsert them into the story? But thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.